Hi, Tucker. I'm Todd. Hi, Todd. I'm Tucker.
I went along with it, and so I said gift wrap, and everybody thought I was joking, but I was just going along with the bit.
Your childhood is just out of control.
It was on the spectrum.
So is your adulthood.
Yeah, I think once you're on it, you stay there. I don't think you come off.
No, you definitely don't, especially because it's like this yawning mouth that keeps expanding and people who weren't on it yesterday are on it today.
Oh yeah, it's like the universe. It is perpetually expanding.
Yeah, and we're always recontextualizing stuff.
It's sort of like in quantum physics when Einstein described everything as like a fabric.
Oh, you mean like the fabric of space-time?
Yeah,
It's like satin.
it's like satin, and everything. It just wraps around everything.
Yeah, it's in fact it has a sort of greasy residue, the fabric of space-time.
Is that what the raspberry jam is?
Yeah, that is the grease of reality.
Grease is the word, and the way and the reason, or something like that.
It's the word that you heard.
Is the way is the season.
It's the way we are feeling.
I don't know what song we're talking about now. I think I know 1,000 songs that have a bit like that.
Oh, I was talking about the opening song from Grease when it's like animated still.
Oh shit. I remember that. I think it might have been delivered in the wrong cadence.
Maybe. Anyhow,
Anywho,
welcome everyone to the third season of the Tucker and Todd cast. I'm not Tucker.
I'm not Todd, and this is our premiere.
Our premiere, and we wanted to come to you with our hats in our hands. I'm the only one with a canonical hat, but I guess you have some costume hats as well. But anyways, we have our hats in our hands. We're on our knees, and we wanted to apologize because we set out on this endeavor, I guess, this not to call it a quest because that would imply that there's some adventure involved. We meant for this to be a sketch program. We build it as a sketch program. We describe it as such in all of our social media and PR. I forgot what PR stood for a second. Public relations. If we had any relations with the public, that's what our PR would be. And so we wanted to apologize for the past season of adventures. We got carried away. I apologize on behalf of my friend Tucker and on behalf of myself, Todd. I'm sorry.
It's good that you did it on my behalf because I'm not sorry.
Oh,
We're sorry for going on a bunch of adventures, and we're sorry in advance for all of the adventures that we're going to go on, after we apologize here, because that will inevitably creep up again.
it will. Well, I mean, it's creeping up right this very second because I do believe that I don't know. I don't know if we had actually agreed on what was going to happen, but we did agree that after we apologize, the whole thing was a bit. Just to let everyone in on it, the whole thing was a bit. Neither of us are sorry. But season 3 of the Tucker and Todd cast starts with us apologizing for going on too many adventures last season, and then that immediately being interrupted by, "Are we getting kidnapped?"
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we were getting kidnapped. However, just as a brief aside, I'm perfectly happy to throw in some sketches and bits in there now and then, but the adventures are just a lot of fun.
Well, I mean, yeah. I guess we could set out specifically to say, let's only create a rough draft of whatever the joke of the premise is and say that's a sketch. But ultimately, the moment you start turning something into a story, you can't help but run away with it.
And our stories are full of bits anyways. Like it's like a contained narrative that happens to include several sketches.
And we call them sketches anyways. We'll see what happens. Anyhow,
We're being
Yes.
kidnapped.
We're being kidnapped, yes. How epic. Now, were we being kidnapped by... My original idea was that we got kidnapped by a man named Sir Cumstance. I don't know if he's Cumstance. I don't know if we want to lean on it. Like, that's actually part of his identity is that he has a cum stance.
I think that the internet is already plenty full of cum.
Okay, so it's not Cumstance then. He's just Circumstance. The idea there being that we would be victims of circumstance, but I don't know.
I understood. I understood that. Yeah, I gotcha.
But I don't know if we do. Do you think it is worth making, because we would then have to make him the antagonist for an entire episode or whatever? Do you think circumstance is a fun enough joke to run with for a whole thing, or do we like the idea? Oh, I guess that could be a one-off bit by immediately circum. Why am I forgetting words?
Circumvent.
Subverting it. Yeah.
Circumvent, subvert, whatever
Circumstance.
you want.
Subvert.
In fact, circumstance could be pretty quickly, oh, see, now I circumvented. Somebody is going to circumvent circumstance.
Oh, is it a guy who? Oh, is it is it circumstances nemesis circumvent?
Yeah, I don't see why not. But here's the thing: is neither of them have to be our nemesis for the entire episode because they could just be hired by anybody.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So I like the idea that circumstance is like this is this like villain character, and his nemesis is a hero who is circumvent, who is always circumventing circumstances plans.
I think
And
circumvent needs a sidekick named Subvert.
okay, because he is a sub.
He is a subby little fella. Okay, so we're being abducted. Are we actually being like thrown into like a burlap sack in the middle of our studio in broad daylight? Somebody like just walked in, tossed us in a bag, and is now casually walking out. Steve is like on a nearby sofa reading a magazine. He says, "Don't forget to close the door on your way out."
But when you say Steve, do you mean Stan?
Yeah, I do.
Or do we have? Is there a Steve who's hanging out?
No, Steve has just been my go-to hardwired name for kind of useless bystanders for many years, and since we didn't
Yeah, I understand.
since we didn't have a cast last week, I've regressed.
I understand. I get it. I follow. I was just gonna reuse the kidnapping from our very first sketch and have the white van come take us away.
Oh, it's the same guys.
Yeah.
That means we're gonna meet Joshua.
Oh, do you think so? Is he still with them?
He still has our face blur.
Well, because interesting. Is that what we're doing? Are we doing a long-term callback to that? Are we doing a face blur episode? Or is he just like a reference and we see him and he has the face blur and we grab it and take it back and leave him wherever he was?
Oh yeah, I think it's much funnier if we snatch and grab. Like if we just take the face blur back and don't even engage with him.
Well, because so kind of the direction that I was thinking of going was once circumvents circumstance and they are distracted by each other, we are able to just kind of like slip away, like, and that's why I had the idea of like just coming back, like, nope, we said that we are not doing an adventure, we are not being kidnapped, and then that's when I had the idea of future Plato coming through the time machine. Do we like going in that direction?
I probably do like going in that direction. And I've just decided we don't see Joshua at all. We just find his face blur on the floor of the van that we're in, and we like blur our faces to try and escape.
Oh, okay.
While circumvent and circumstance are busy distracting each other, we kind of stretch out the face blur to cover both of our faces, or at least part of it, and we just kind of crab walk out of there.
Yeah, you see us sidestepping with the tiptoeing sound effects.
Yeah, except for us to be like head to head, either you're gonna have to lift me up or you're gonna have to come down to my level. So you're gonna have to decide which one of those is funnier.
And yeah, I think it's kind of funny to hold you in front of my face and you hold the face blur in front of your whole body.
And then as we sidestep, I move my feet for no good reason.
Yeah, you're kicking your feet like a dog above a bath.
Yep, I'm doggy paddling. So we make it back into the studio and we're like, nope, nothing doing. We're not having any adventures. Not this time, not this week.
This is a sketch show. And then right as we say that, cackle, cackle, shika, shika, kaboom. And so I think we need to work a little bit on the concept and the idea of future Plato. If he's going to be a long term, is this going to be our new paperboy? Not to say that he's our nemesis, but our character arc guy.
Interesting. If he's going to be future Plato, I demand that he be a bit cyberpunky. He needs to have like a cybernetic eye and like a robot arm.
Okay, because when I said future Plato, I was saying we were kind of saying post-tech, but was he made by whatever civilization caused the collapse, and so he's sort of like something from antiquity in the post-collapse?
Well, it's entirely possible that his like additional parts are a little bit worse for wear, aged looking, a little bit of rust, not quite so well kept, indicating that he is post tech.
Okay, yeah.
But I definitely think that he would benefit from having some of that Mad Max energy with like rusty parts. But he definitely needs to be like partially cybernetic. I want cyberpunk Plato.
Okay. And so I had proposed just offhand that his emergency. So does he have an emergency that he needs us? Is the world in crisis? I feel like I proposed something about we caused something. Let me look for this for a second.
Yeah, whatever it is, it's definitely our fault, and he's come to try and guide us away from it. He definitely doesn't need our help to save the world. He needs to, save the world from us by modifying the past.
Let me just peruse our.
Of course, I bet he has no idea what we actually do that sets the events in motion.
Oh, it was way down the thread. Okay, maybe Tucker and Todd see that we were talking about social pressures that make people that coerce people to put signs on their lawns that say all of their like internal beliefs and political opinions and whatnot. And then I said maybe Tucker and Todd see that occurring in their world and want to write a sketch about it. But as they start writing it, Plato interrupts, and whatever is causing the social pressure is what leads to the event that he came back to address. So whatever was causing that social pressure to put signs on the lawn leads to the collapse that he's coming back to tell us about.
What a nightmare world that would be, where everybody's most horrible and uneducated and shit ignorant opinions all happen to be just like public scrutiny.
I mean, I guess like because I had made the offhand joke that like any gathering of more than two white men is now called a podcast, but like isn't everybody isn't well, one was I guess I won't say anybody. What percentage of all humans have to be participating in anything for it to be? I guess 51%. That's how numbers work.
For it to be considered what?
Like a widespread like habit of the majority of people.
Ah, well, it actually probably doesn't have to be more than 50%. It actually just has to fit within the bell curve, which can be as little as like 25 or 30%, so long as everybody else is broken up into even smaller brackets than that.
Because I mean, like, essentially, would you say that participating in social media in any way is not that very much different from putting a political opinion sign on your lawn?
In many ways, with how people use it, it is quite similar because people can't seem to keep their opinions to themselves, and they need to publicly broadcast them all the time. So yeah, everybody's Facebook account is their front lawn sign, but this one is a very real front lawn sign.
Interesting. Did you watch the commercial for the metaverse?
I did not.
Have you heard any parodies of it in any of the things that you listen to?
No, nobody's mentioned it at all. I assume everybody's pretty sick and tired of social media.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, I mean, that's the thing. That's why it's weird that they're coming out. I watched the commercial because I'm curious to know what such an antiquated company at this point that everybody thinks of as like the boomer social media, why they think that their VR Second Life is going to be cool.
I don't understand why anybody cares about VR at all anymore when augmented reality is the way of the future.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess they're really banking on the idea that everybody's going to give up and just turn into Ready Player Ones.
Yeah, it'll never happen. It's going to be augmented reality because it's way more convenient, way more effective, and you can apply it to a lot of additional things. I mean, just imagine augmented reality in the workplace. Also, I've just decided that future Plato needs an augmented reality thing that lets him like hologram project stuff.
Oh yeah. Okay, so let's get back to him. So is Is that what we're doing then? Are we seeing, are Tucker and Todd seeing a world in which everybody's put their most inane ideas on their front lawn? It's like comically filled up. Everybody's lawns are like junk now. You can't see anything but signs.
I mean, if we were to put all of our shitty opinions on signs, I'm pretty sure they would be enough to like stand shoulder to shoulder and cover the face of your yard, if not further. There's probably fights breaking out between neighbors because their signs are encroaching on each other's property.
Is that how you imagined it when you proposed it?
No, no, we've gone beyond what I've imagined into an even more nightmarish future.
I mean, is there one way or another that you prefer it being less nightmarish or more nightmarish? Because I imagine it being gaudy. Like when people are given too much control over any sort of like sandbox reality game or anything, they turn their neighborhoods into these nightmare associate whatever people who give you shit for your front lawn looking like trash.
I imagine people are going to be giving each other shit for their opinions being trash in this case. Nobody's
is
even
that
going
a-
to see the front yard.
Is that a problem the reality would run into? You're compelled by some sort of coalition or whatever to put these signs out, but it gets to the point that you have too many signs out to even understand what they say.
Yeah, we've got opinion bloat on everybody's front yard. We have a whole new neighborhood association for that.
So is yeah. So you say associate. Yeah, I was gonna say, is there some sort of enforcing faction who comes around giving people shit and fines for like not being able to clearly read all of their opinion bloat?
Yeah, exactly. This isn't written legibly. You're being fined.
Okay, so this is the reality that Tucker and Todd are currently existing in, then, and they want to write a sketch about it. And
Well,
as they're
it's
about,
they pass through a neighborhood in which it's being implemented as part of like a test phase. It's not exactly widespread yet, but it is occurring in an isolated place. You know how they do.
okay, how does that? Are they passing through that place as they're on their way? How does that work? What's the order of operations? It starts with, "Hey, we're sorry, we want to write sketches. We get kidnapped. We leave the kidnapping." And on the way back from the kidnapping, we pass through a neighborhood where we see everything in awful disarray.
I mean, I don't see why not. There's lots of room for like a little travel montage in between
And
escaping our captors and making it back to the studio.
a recreation of the travel montage from the D&D episode where we're on like the train and the bus and the taxi and all that whatnot.
Yeah, it. Although we could do it Shrek style because we're walking.
What song plays in Shrek when they're walking? Oh, is that 500 miles or whatever?
I think it was.
Or was it
But all I can hear in my head is Donkey saying, "On the road again. I can't wait to
Yeah,
get
yeah.
out on the road again."
Okay, so we are making our way back from having been kidnapped. We passed through town in part of it. As we're ending our montage or in the middle of it, I don't know, whatever. We noticed that a whole bunch is going. So how do we communicate? Are we
Oh,
are
obviously, as we're walking, there's gonna have to be like the record stop screech, and we're gonna stop and look around because the neighborhood's become very strange. The place we're passing through is real weird. Suddenly, there's no grass. All you see is signs everywhere.
Oh, do we introduce it as one of those like, does anything seem strange to you? Zoom out and everything is very strange.
Yeah, like it should be incredibly strange. There's probably like a nearby house fire too because people are fighting. If anything, there are riots in the streets because of this.
Oh, sure. Yeah, it's like utter chaos.
I mean, what do you think would happen within just a few minutes of this enforced sign posting occurring? People would start fighting right away. The fighting wouldn't stop until it became sufficiently normalized.
Riots and chaos. I was trying to think of the most absurd things to kind of like throw in little details. I thought of maybe like amputated cats sword fighting or something.
Now that is chaos. Are they holding the swords in their mouths or what? Or is this a reference to Puss in Boots? Since
Oh, I guess,
done,
dang it.
we've already done Shrek.
I guess that's what it got power of suggested into my brain. A sword fighting cat is a thing. Shit.
Yes, and it's from Shrek, so we can do it. Because if we're gonna do a Shrek montage, there's no reason why Puss in Boots can't be in the background somewhere.
Oh, we may as well. I mean, if I'm up to it, we may as well throw a whole bunch of little Shrek Easter eggs in the background of that scene.
Oh shit! That reminds me. another one of the possible outfits for Tucker and Todd is we could put Tucker and Lord Farquaad, and Todd could be Shrek.
Farquaad and Shrek, or if we're gonna do changes, then we could have Donkey and Shrek as one costume, and then Farquaad and his big beefy guard or whatever as the other.
Oh yeah, what was he, Felonious?
But if that's correct, I need to look that up just to see if you actually knew that.
Take a moment, vindicate me,
Felonious, holy fuck! Why do you know that?
because I could probably recite every single one of John Lithgow's lines from the film. He says, Thelonious, and has him punch a mirror when he's threatening the magic mirror on the wall.
I remember that. Yes, I can even hear the cadence. I know. Yes, I know what you're talking about. That's funny.
Yeah, see, little bits like that stick around in my head forever, and they take up the space that knowing how to do math was supposed to be in.
But I think does Thelonious himself have any other lines except for when he's doing karaoke at the end?
I think karaoke was it, which means it's quite possible that Todd's wearing a ball gag underneath that mask.
I don't know why. Hey, but did Shrek invent memes?
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure memes existed before that. Memes are just jokes.
Yeah, I guess so.
It's more like a word for jokes that are really easily spread around and catch on quickly.
Well, if I remember correctly, is it a Christopher Hitchens thing or one of them? It's one of those new atheist guys or old atheist. Which is the new atheist? Is Sam Harris a new atheist and Christopher Hitchens is an old atheist? I don't know.
I don't know, but I'm gonna go ahead and Google memes and find the very earliest source for anything.
Because I think it was he coined the term in I think the 90s, or maybe it was, I think it was the 90s, basically saying it was like an idea that took a life of its own by like spreading culturally.
Here's one in 1989 by Richard Dawkins about memes.
Oh, Dawkins. Okay, yeah, that's who I was talking about.
Apparently Bertrand Russell in 1921 also talked about memes.
Oh, I guess that makes sense.
In a treatise called The Analysis of Mind, but I don't know if he actually coined the term meme, but I think he might have kind of designated the meaning that we would understand for it and how ideas are shared.
Right.
But I think Richard Dawkins invented the word.
Yeah, that's my understanding. But I remember thinking that Bertrand Russell was a cool guy. I wouldn't mind educating myself on that. What was it called? Something of Mind?
The Analysis of Mind. Bertrand Russell is responsible for a lot of hard-to-read philosophy.
Well, I just remember that Peter Morton, or whatever his name was, the philosophy dude at Mount Royal, was a big fan of Bertrand Russell.
Oh yeah, Peter liked Morton. Peter was completely in charge of philosophy, if I recall. I think he was the department head.
That is my recollection. And I also recall that in his like intro to philosophy class, he taught from a lecture he had given several years before, and I found that particularly annoying.
Tell me why you feel that way.
Well, as a 20-year-old, I felt that a professor should be using his explicatory and educational skills to interpret somebody else's work rather than just repeat his own to us.
That's fair until you're talking about, people with PhDs who've done a lot of their own work, which means that they can fairly cite their own work as a reputable source. They don't have to teach you about anybody else's work.
As a kid fresh out of high school, I did obviously not really have any way to grasp how much work somebody would have had to put into getting to the point of having a lecture published.
Especially if you're fresh from high school, where the entire thing is about somebody else's opinions that a teacher just kind of regurgitates back to you.
Oh, I was coming from online homeschool high school, where I fought tooth and nail all the way along the way. I was suspended 3 times from high school for having an attitude problem from online school.
You were suspended from online school?
It's a fucking joke, man. I use it as
Don't come into class tomorrow.
Anyhow, where were we?
We were just talking about Puss in Boots being in there, and then we started talking about costumes and then I guess we made it to philosophy and
Oh yeah,
being.
okay. We were. Oh yeah, because I asked about Shrek. So we're walking around in this place, and we see that chaos is broken out in this area, and a lot of the chaos is being perpetrated upon citizens of the Shrek universe.
Well, at least a couple of them, I suppose. That's fair.
So but so here, I guess, are we going to? Oh, maybe okay. I wasn't sure how much content we were going to try packing into this, and how many like storylines or plot premises or whatever. But I guess if the idea is that Plato shows up at the end of this, and everything is building up to his appearance.
Yeah, kinda. Because I mean, we still haven't made it back to the studio yet for him to show up in the first place. Although we've got time to burn. But yeah, we see the chaos. The camera, of course, does its dramatic pan out so that suddenly all the stuff that we weren't showing the audience and that they couldn't hear is now widely perceptible. So people are fighting. I imagine neighbors are picking signs right out of other neighbors' yards and using them to beat each other with. There's sword fighting cats.
And so I guess so now, because when you had originally proposed this as a premise, did you have an idea for a direction a narrative could go with it, or was it just sort of a visual? It was just a hint of a premise.
It was just meant to be a brief gag.
Because I kind of
I
want
didn't have anything extra attached to it.
I want to engage with it in a way that kind of Because does it get presented to us? Does somebody come running out? Because I guess if we walk away from it being like wanting to write about it, something about it moved us. Do we engage with anybody who's being affected by the reality? Why have we not heard? Why does nobody else we know engaging in all of this sign stuff?
Like I said, it's only being done in this one particular neighborhood. So it's not
Oh,
influencing other neighborhoods yet. This place is just a test bed that's been selected for this new government program. And if we're going to be learning about what it is, that'll be probably Plato exposition.
oh yeah, I guess that would be Plato exposition. Because I just recalled another thing was the idea of linking in. We had proposed at one time the idea of like a dystopian city state that was all divided by ideology. Is this sort of like the beginning? Maybe that is sort of the midway point between the collapse of civilization. This movement of putting all of your political ideologies on display is the trial program for turning cities into these ideologically divided like district cities or whatever. And then
Whether that divide is actually a goal or not, I think it would probably be a natural byproduct of people distancing themselves from others' opinions that they disagree with. And like over a long enough period of time, eventually people would not move to neighborhoods where there were opinions that they disagreed with. Who cares about the school district and like the crime? It's now about whether or not there are good opinions there.
I feel that a little bit is sort of the kind of the way that we are actually going right now, a little bit.
Yeah, and so I think these kind of ideological divides would form quite organically on their own, and would definitely lead to fucking civil wars all over the place.
For the sake of making it just like narratively a little bit more interesting, should we say that the intent of the program to put your ideas on your lawn was their original intent was they thought, well, once we figure out how everybody feels, people will then start to assimilate into they will understand each other better. Was there a goal to sow harmony and then it backfired and it led to all this division?
Yes, the road to hell and all that. The
Yeah.
intention was clarity and candor to make people comfortable with being open with each other and
Transparency.
transparency and to otherwise be more communicative. And naturally, it's going to totally fucking backfire, and the person or people responsible will get shit canned, and then like unscrupulous people will take over and be like, let's see how far we can go with this.
Of course. Yeah. Okay. I like that.
So yeah, what began as like basically the first step of truth and reconciliation eventually becomes like civil war.
Do we want to at this point? So this is occurring in our city then. Do we want to come up with a mayor character? Oh, wait, isn't the mayor Colonel Sanders?
Yes. He's got.
So that's who's in
He's.
charge of this?
I don't know if he's in charge of this. He definitely is gonna need like a Jafar who is in charge of this.
Oh, that's so funny because he kind of looks like the little Sultan guy.
I just thought of his next Halloween costume too.
Oh, is he going to be a Sultan?
Yeah, I don't see why not. And I'm gonna somehow Craig is gonna be a magic carpet.
Oh, he's going to be a flattened out cardboard box. That'll be a carpet.
Sounds perfect.
One last hurrah before I'm recycled and put into menu form or whatever.
Oh, I guess that is a good enough reason to retire the cardboard box version of him and make a new one.
Yeah, he was meant to be something else other than that, but we've really been squeezing milking every inch of it. Milking every inch. I don't like that.
I don't like that either. I don't think that's this podcast. I think that's a different podcast.
Oh yeah, and call me daddy or whatever.
Oh, God.
Call her daddy. Call her daddy.
I you know what? Don't call her.
I'm not. I'm calling her daddy.
Don't call him either. Okay, so yeah, we've walked into the midst of this like experimental program, and it's already having very lively results. There's riots and looting, and like people are pushing over cop cars and setting them on fire and stuff.
And I kind of want to explore this whole thing with the mayor. So the mayor has a lick boot or whatever who's whispering. What's the proper term? A silver
A
tongue.
bootlick.
Well, that's a bootlick, but a bootlick is an actual bootlick. What is a term for a Jafar? A Yago.
He's your Starscream. He's your evil underling who has ambitions that outstrip what you can give them.
Yeah. I feel like there's like a archetypical example, but I can't even think of who it is. But what's the one from Lord of the Rings? Wormwood. What was his name?
Oh, that was Grima Wormtongue.
Wormtongue. Yeah, I feel like Wormtongue is a general term for all of them. They're all Wormtongues.
I feel like I really hate when characters are named that way. Like, you don't even have to meet him to know he's a villain. He might as well have a fucking name tag. Victor Von Evil Satan. You know what I mean?
Like, you mean like Boris Badenov?
Yeah. I mean, that guy is an obvious Hitler.
Is it too stupid and low-hanging fruit to go like the opposite way and name them like Sir Twinkle Toes or whatever?
I don't know if that's an innately good kind of name.
Yeah, I guess. Have you ever met a good person named Twinkle Toes?
No,
Never.
I haven't.
They're all deviants. But I guess when we arrive on this scene, because I think we know the mayor, right? We know Colonel Sanders. I mean, we've had him at our party or whatever.
We're familiar with him. We were at the same place once.
Would we run over and ask him for an explanation of what's going on?
Why would he be there? There are riots in the streets, man. He's on the other side of town.
I guess so.
No, there's probably no opportunity for us to get any answers there, and I don't know if we're inquisitive enough to do so, especially because we're trying to avoid adventures, and getting involved in riots and looting and, you know, public unrest seems an awful lot like we'd be in danger of getting into an adventure. So we probably start getting involved. We probably try to ask somebody, and then one of us is going to have to say, no, we agreed. No more adventures, and then we keep walking on. We just leave the riots behind us.
So when we come back and the thing that we want to write a sketch about is what we were inspired by a misinterpretation of what was actually going on?
Just give me a for instance as to what kind of misinterpretation we would make that we would want to write about.
Well, I guess like when I think of a misinterpretation being an unawareness of the whole situation, and we notice one single detail. We noticed one single detail of the riot, and we zoomed in on that and thought that was the problem or whatever, and we thought it was silly, and we want to write a sketch about that single little detail.
Like, is this it? I'm just looking for a for instance. Are we gonna go back to the student and be like, people sure are dumb. Look at what they're so mad about this. What would this be? Like, what's our takeaway that we can make into a bigger issue? Because I'm assuming whatever we want to write about it, whatever project we get out of it, that has a major contributing factor to why Plato came to us. So whatever our problem is, whatever mistake we make, whatever we misinterpret, it makes things worse.
Well, now, yeah, I don't know. You said so. What something to do with what we're writing inspires Plato to come to us? Explain that to me.
Why would he bother coming to us at all unless we were connected to the series of events that make things spiral out of control?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if he came to us knowing. I don't know if he knew who we were. I feel like he just came through the time machine because it was a port. It was an endpoint of the time that they.
Oh, so it's just a convenient endpoint and we're not actually really active participants in it at all? I think we should be active participants in it. We're passive protagonists an awful lot of the time.
Well, I think we're active participants in it, but I think he doesn't. But well, I didn't imagine that he was looking for us by name. I think he comes through saying that he has an emergency, and we happen to be. We happen to, like he goes. He is muttering some keyword or whatever, and that happens to perk up our ears, and is like, oh well, we were just at a thing talking about the whatever MacGuffin.
Well, since we are basically swearing off adventures, it has to explicitly include us for him to force us into this adventure. Otherwise, we just tell him to go pound sand. So it has to have something to do with us for him to kind of force circumstances to include us once again.
Well, then we have to have some sort of more awareness of what was going on with that the riots. Then we need to engage with somebody. If we don't know anything about it, then why would he come to us?
For the reason I said, because whatever misinterpretation we made of it caused it to spiral out of control. You said we came back and we decided to write a bit about it. Whatever misinterpretation we make about it makes everything much worse.
Does that mean that we have acquired some strange ability to write reality into existence?
No, whatever it is just makes everybody way more angry. And for some reason, inspires whoever happens to be testing this project out to aggressively expand it. I don't know. Maybe we write in great support of whatever it is, and we're shocked and appalled that everybody would respond so negatively to it. And then they consider that to be support, and they latch right onto it and start expanding.
Give me a second to write some notes down because I'm not connecting anything right now.
Because just like people with shitty opinions in the first place, we don't have to actually have a good understanding about this in order to start sharing our own opinions about it. And I think it would only be appropriate for a piece about really, really shitty opinions, for our shitty opinions to make it even worse.
So we don't want to write a sketch about the riots. We want to make a sketch about our opinions. We think we're supposed to come home and make a sketch about what our opinions is and we're going to put that on our lawn.
Well, we can make a sketch about our opinion on the riots. Since we don't fully understand what they're rioting about, we can make a sketch in support of what they're rioting about, and that demonizes the rioters, even though they're probably in the right because this is a crazy, crazy program.
Okay, so that makes sense. We make a sketch demonizing the rioters, even though we don't understand what they're writing about. That seems consistent with kind of like the characters that we're portraying.
Yes, and especially the part where we kind of vaguely write in support of whatever it is that they're writing about without, specifically stating what it is that we're supporting because we don't actually know. But if people are writing about it, then those people must be bad people and they must be wrong.
And so, do we even see us completing and making it? Like what? Like we're in the middle of writing it, and then Plato shows up and says, "That thing you wrote 7,000 years ago won several awards and tore the country apart."
Pretty much, it's an intervention. And this will be the first time anybody's ever tried to get us to do an adventure by not doing something.
What do you mean by not doing something?
Well, rather than trying to get us to go someplace and do something, he's trying to get us to stop doing a thing. This will be the very first time we've had an adventure by intervention.
Oh, okay. And so that's why I'm asking at what point of completion, what percentage of completion is the sketch written then? So is it done and we have to somehow undo what we've written into existence, or like how does he, like it can't be not completed for it to have had an effect already.
Oh, it's for sure completed. We've submitted it to Craig for final edits and then submission. So
Okay.
it's about to be in post, which means that like somewhere along the pipeline we'll have to scramble, and once again it'll be an adventure because we have to stop it. It's like trying to get to your boss's desk before your letter arrives there.
And so is the whatever problem this leads to, the collapse that I was calling it before, are we calling that the season arc? Are we exploring this all throughout the next 13 episodes? Or are we trying to cram a little adventure specifically to deal with this one thing in this one episode?
Oh, I don't think this is. I mean, people from the future that we've already ruined can show up again, because unfortunately, we're going to subscribe to the notion of Avengers time travel, where all it actually does is create a new split timeline, and it doesn't fix the old one. So these guys are doing this for nothing. But it's probably a one episode thing. I don't believe us ruining all of civilization by making a sketch in support of the most insidious government program I've ever heard of is going to last too long.
So, we need to explore the Jafar a little bit. So, who is the Jafar? Is that a corporation? Is that another government organization?
He is a political sycophant, low-level guy who happens to be in cahoots with like business and stuff. But for this one, I'm not entirely sure what his motivations are besides to, make people go crazy and buy lots of toilet paper. That's what all the conspiracy theorists love, anyways, is that the government loves keeping us in a state of continual fear and conflict so that it, encourages sales.
Well, in that case, if it's just to run up sales of household products and stuff, then why not have it be Basilbub?
Well, it could be an agent of Basilbub. Basilbub
Right.
himself is a little busy to be in like a subservient, low-level government position.
So okay, so it's not specifically Basilbub, but it is a project of the Abaddon Corp.
Yeah, I think it should kind of turn out that this Jafar character, I don't think he should actually be named Jafar, but Jafar is the closest thing I could think of. He's an evil vizier to Colonel Sanders. He is in he is in Abaddon Corp's pocket.
Oh, so he works in the mayor's office, but he's in the pocket of the corporation.
Yes.
Let me. I wanted to say like Junior Chicken or something like that, but that's like Wendy's or something, right?
I have no idea. I haven't eaten any fast food in like 20 years. I don't know what any of these places have on their menu. Besides, I know that KFC has chicken, right?
Yeah, Deputy Colonel Sanders.
Obviously it would have to be Lieutenant Colonel Sanders.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the name of his aide position would actually be, but he is a direct aide to the mayor, and he's been made responsible for this program and its experimental implementation. I'm gonna assume that by the time we ever become aware of it, the person who originally designed the plan, who had the actually good intentions, has already been removed, vacated from the position, and it's been given to our Jafar character.
Okay, so if this is how do you see this skit ending? Because it's not what I thought it was, and it's all over the place now.
I think the right thing to do to clean it up and make it less disjointed is to remove our causal involvement.
Our causal involvement?
Yes, as in to cut out our direct link to making things worse.
Well, if we could return to the concept a little, because I think the idea of Plato coming back from a post-tech future is so fucking compelling and funny, but I think we need to actually reverse engineer his existence into the story. And so I liked the idea of his problem being the shadow people from the cave have escaped. They got out of the cave and they are unleashing havoc upon the world. And so I think if we had a causal link to that, something that we're doing right now in the present leads to thousands of years from now, the shadow people escaping. Maybe that was something that the Abaddon Corp succeeded in doing. They, way down the road generations later, Beelzebub is still trying to get to heaven, and if we have a causal link to something going on with the Plato thing, and then bringing him back.
Well, like I said, if somebody's going to come back for us, we do need to have a causal link. I just don't know what it would be. Because, as we've established, we're not active protagonists. We're passive protagonists. We don't do stuff. Stuff happens to us.
Have you seen Cloud Atlas?
No.
I'm sure there's some other version of the trope, but in Cloud Atlas, there is a character who is living in the year 7000 or something like that, in New Seoul, in Korea. And she is basically a clone. Yes, they have clones which they generate, and then when the clones have served their purpose, they're sent off to a factory where they're broken down and turned into food that's fed to the new clones. And the clones, Soylent Green, is people or whatever. And so she wants to start fighting for clones' rights and saying we are people too, and you can't just like treat us like garbage and feed us to each other. And so she makes like basically was a vlog talking about her ideas, and thousands of years later after that, after they are post technology, her vlog is basically turned into a religion of why all post technology people try to treat each other equally, et cetera, et cetera. And so I don't know if Tucker and Todd's sketch about front lawn signs, which was just supposed to be satire making fun of a group of people, got turned into some sort of religion or political ideology thousands of years from now. That could work. I don't know.
Well, that was kind of what I was going for.
Well, then
It becomes the true.
yeah, the true. That's literally from Cloud Atlas.
Yeah, I know. Fuck off.
Did you Google it?
No, I googled it and then I remembered that I have seen at least parts of
I
it,
have
but
seen
I
it.
don't.
Okay.
I don't know if I've seen the whole thing because my memories of it are more disjointed than this.
Well, it is a Wachowski production, so it's pretty disjointed too.
That probably accounts for my disjointed memories of it.
But it's got Tom Hanks in 19 different roles.
Yeah, the weak are meat and the strong do eat.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's got Victor Hugo. That's not the right name. Hugo Weaving as well. Okay. Yes, it becomes the true. Okay. Now, I guess sometimes we just got to use the proper words to figure out that we were actually on the same page.
Okay, but this sketch about the rioters eventually, like, what religion does it become? Like, what kind of message does it eventually carry? Because how does it lead to this incredibly divisive, ideologically separated society that is somehow even more divisive and ideologically separated than the one we currently already have, to the extent that it practically creates a whole bunch of different, totally distinct city-states all within one city?
Well, I guess if...
I mean, to be fair, it can be left completely vague as to how that ever possibly happened.
I would prefer to break it down so that we could actually like draw, connect all of the dots. So I would like to think about it for half a second, because if we're looking at a bunch of people and we're seeing, because I'm thinking maybe perhaps in the future, like nuance would start to disappear. So if we had like an extremely sarcastic, like on the nose sarcastic parody or satire of what we were seeing in the streets, then our sarcasm could be misinterpreted in the future as like gospel. And so if we're looking at all these people divided by their ideology, because the program is supposed to be promoting transparency.
Yes, but all it's doing is creating conflict.
And
Are we ultimately responsible for ending that conflict, at least for a little while, by causing everybody to separate by ideological lines and then never cross them?
Well, I was wondering if maybe we see all of this conflict in the streets with the program that's supposed to breed transparency, and then we write a sketch satirizing it, saying, "Oh, great idea! Everybody separate politically. Everybody, how about we just have a fucking whole city divided ideologically, kind of thing?" And then that leads to that's how they make society in the future.
This guy's right. Why don't we do that?
Yeah, why don't we do that? Sounds good. Does that make sense?
It makes enough sense that we can roll with it. I'm going to write a much better sketch than that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I would almost think that the sketch that we write in within the sketch, when we're coming to write a sketch about the future, the way that I almost envision it would be as like a PR commercial, like a timeshare rental commercial or whatever, where they're like, come and stay, like sweeping vistas of the clean neighborhoods, and saying a new utopia, blah blah blah, selling it up.
Where everybody believes this.
Yeah, come to the North District where you can meet everybody who likes blah blah blah. Check out south of the South District where everyone is blah blah blah.
Except none of them, none of the ads are for multiple districts. Each ad is produced by a specific district in the same way that political attack ads work.
Oh yeah.
So not only do they kind of denigrate the other districts, but they talk their own district up. And everybody does that. It's widespread.
If we're doing a Shrek thing and we go to a future in which one of these cities exists, do we find a little singing "Welcome to Dewlop" kind of sign outside, which describes the situation in within the walls?
Oh my god, I love this idea, and I will have a lot of fun writing a really, really stupid song about the political ideology of that particular town.
And I will have fun putting together the MIDI horns for it.
Let's do that again!
Yeah.
It's a perfect opportunity for one of us to be Donkey.
Keep your feet off the grass, shine your shoes, and wipe your face.
I think I'm going to go ahead and just include the wipe your ass.
Oh yeah, just the song is wipe your ass, wipe your ass, wipe your ass, and wipe your ass.
I don't think that's divisive enough. I'm pretty sure that message would be welcome in almost every neighborhood.
Oh yeah, that is the one rule that all neighborhoods have in common. The central courtyard that ties the whole city together is the ass wiping core.
Everybody who lives there is called an ass wipe.
It's just a utopia. Everybody's walking around in diapers.
Gross.
It's the true utopia within the city.
It's just the melting pot where the only standard is that you have to wipe your ass.
And as they're wiping each other's asses, they say nothing's wrong at Bossing Say.
Now we've gone too far. Wiping each other's asses.
Oh yeah, I guess if you're a responsible citizen, you have to be accountable for yourself.
And your children.
Yes, wipe your children's ass before you wipe your own. No, it's the other way around.
Yeah,
You
it's
have to
the other
wipe
way
your own
around.
face.
This is like an airplane. Look after your own, unless your child isn't like, I don't know. If they're the 3 seconds away from running out of oxygen that it takes you to put on your mask, they were going to die anyway.
I do kind of like the idea of it, like one parent kind of like shaming another for wiping their kid's ass first. Like, come on, man, get your life together. Wipe your own ass first.
I don't see. That's how the very first fight in Ass Wipe Town breaks out. The disagreement about the order of operations for ass wiping.
And as it breaks out, it cuts to another group, and they're just like, "How did we get here? How did it come
But
to this?"
that's definitely that's the one value that gets shared equally throughout all the neighborhoods, all the boroughs, I suppose they would be. But we definitely don't encounter the Asswipe Town first, because that's, out of all of them, it's probably the one with the least character.
Well, it'd almost be kind of funny if there was some sort of, because it's included in the song, if we had some sort of verbal reference to it, like a little, it seems like a one-off joke, and then we call back to it at the very end, and we discover the Asswipe district, and we're like, oh, it was a real thing.
Yeah, obviously. But I also kind of want to include the bit where they start disagreeing about how to correctly wipe asses. Like, do you wipe yours first? Do you wipe your kids first?
The moral.
And then a fight breaks out, and then suddenly that district is like falling apart and burning down.
It's because it's one ply.
Yeah, it was a fragile piece. As for the whole super divided city thing, that is how Plato is going to convince us to either terminate or delete or whatever with the sketch before it becomes gospel. Is he's going to take us to the future so we can see these shitty places. And at first we're going to think they're pretty awesome. Because of course every one of them has like a veneer of niceness. Like any place with like an absolutely fascist town planning organization. They always seem like such nice neighborhoods because everything is so orderly, the grass is green, everything is well kept. but it's run by Hitler.
Of course, yeah. Everybody's brainwashed.
Yeah, so we'll naturally be kind of mystified and in awe of, the trains run on time. Everything is clean. I even like the font that everybody uses for their front yard signs.
Oh, so
In fact,
we'll
everybody's front yard sign is probably like a holographic display now.
will we be given a tour by somebody who represents the shadow organization, or is Plato taking us around from place to place trying to convince us that it's a problem, but all we see is nice?
Plato is going to have to be our guide because he's definitely the one who made us come here. However, one trope I do kind of enjoy is when the guide disappears and you're left to your own devices. So, like, if he brings us here and then, like, we turn around and he's not there and we're like, whatever, and we go explore on our own, so that our experience isn't exactly directed and guided. So we enjoy ourselves. We think it looks nice. He doesn't get to show us the terrible stuff right away.
Oh, do we do the classic thing of where he's like taking us down a main concourse and we see like a very mysterious, suspicious looking door or alleyway, and we're like, "What's down there?" And there's the mysterious music thing, and he quickly forces us to keep no, this way. Nothing of interest.
Oh, but I want to see. Do. So yeah, that
Oh, and it's literally called like Chekhov's Alley or something like that.
But do we abide by the trope, or do we subvert it by never coming back to it?
I don't know, because that might have to be its own joke with an actual gun.
But yeah, I do think that at some point during our tour, it would be important that it stopped being curated. Because if all we see is what Plato wants us to see, then we don't really get to interact with it as much as maybe we could.
Right.
So if he disappears, maybe we actually get to go down Chekhov's Alley, and it's just blank walls. There's nothing in it, and at the very end, there's just like a little toy gun, just at a dead end.
It serves no other purpose. It actually wasn't anything other than just a joke.
Yeah, it's nothing but a waste of our time, and it's an opportunity for us to just like nod at Chekhov's gun.
Does it actually? Do we take some time to show us walking through a long hallway? We take a long time to get all the way through, and then get the end like, oh well, that was a long walk for it, and then cut to us being outside again.
Oh, I was actually thinking that we would then show the entire walk back.
That's funny. I'll say yeah.
Just to be absolute shits about
Annoying with it, yeah.
Because we're wasting Tucker and Todd's time. Why not waste everybody's time?
That is very funny. Just to be a long silent walk. Maybe add in like footsteps, echoing sound effects. And then
yeah. The acoustics in the alley are pretty good because there are no dumpsters, there's no trash, there are no boxes, there's nothing at all. It's just two buildings, a narrow alley through between them, and there's a third building at the end, which makes it an actual blocked off dead end. And there's just a little toy gun, and we walk back.
And I guess what would, because there's a couple, I guess, response options for that is for it to go like to have one character be like, oh, and another one to actually be entertained, like, get it?
I like that a lot. The sort of somebody is kind of genre savvy. Somebody's aware. It's good. What's good? You wouldn't get
it. Yeah, I do like that actually.
And then I guess we pick up the toy gun and either toss it away, be like, that was a load of shit, or we keep it and then we just turn around and leave.
I mean, I guess if we do keep it, then I mean that's actually fulfilling. Would we keep it and then use it? Because you said subvert the trope. Do we use Chekhov's gun because it is Chekhov's gun?
It was in Chekhov's alley. It must be Chekhov's gun. But does it fire at all? Can it fire? If we pull a trigger on it, does anything happen? Does it shoot out a little stick with an unrolling piece of paper that says bang? Because I want it to be able to fire, but also not be able to fire at the same time.
Yeah.
No, I got it. We're not going to fire it. We're going to give it to a man on the street who looks suspiciously like Alec Baldwin, and then we're going to leave.
Oh, my Lord. Okay. We give it to Stephen Baldwin?
Yeah, fucking Steve. Here, you look like you can handle this responsibly, and then we leave. Is that too soon? I think it's okay.
I don't know. It would be, is he's a guy on the street? Is he like begging on the street?
No, people still walk on street sides, right? In the future,
I don't know.
people still walk. This isn't like Wall-E where everybody's in a floating chair. Is it a crime of vagrancy to just walk down the street?
It could be. You know how like back before they had
This place is supposed to be a dystopia.
yeah. Like you know how you back in the day before they had streetlights and stuff, like it was a law. You were a criminal if you were walking around in the dark without a light.
You said streetlights, huh?
Yeah.
It has now occurred to me that everybody has designated walking hours.
Like based on what letter their last name starts with,
Sure.
or like where you're from or whatever.
Actually, I was thinking that every street just happened to have lights that directed walking people, but they're only green during like a certain hour in a certain area. Or sure, if you have somewhere in the alphabetical order that is agreeable to the walking hour.
Or if it does have something to do with like the district you're in or what your ideology is.
Well, if you don't have the correct ideology for your district, you're going to get evicted from there very soon. There are definitely like cops out there checking people's ideologies, license, registration, political leanings.
Oh yeah, prove it. Where's your lawn sign? Okay, so is it funnier to give Chekhov's gun to someone and then not see them use it, but know that they will use it eventually? Or
I mean, I already know that Baldwin used Chekhov's gun.
right.
That makes
Was
it
it-
a complete joke.
Or is it funnier to subvert it and like because we already did the Chekhov with the alley, we saw the alley and then we ended up coming back to it, and then in the alley we found the gun, and then is it a gun that we know is going to end up being used, or is it a gun that never gets used and therefore it wasn't actually? If it never gets used, is it not actually Chekhov's gun?
It is still Chekhov's gun. It's just we're defying the trope.
Okay.
Maybe we do fire it and it is just like a toy prop gun that only shoots out the little bang sign, and we decide that's the one that Baldwin should actually have. Maybe we trade him for his other one. Maybe we don't make fun of Alec Baldwin.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know. I still feel like that was his fault.
is it actually fun though? Because we're calling it making fun. Or are we just bullying Alec Baldwin?
Yes, how dare I bully somebody who shot someone? Between the two of those, I'm sure the bullying is the worst behavior.
Between shooting someone or bullying?
Yes, bullying is just obviously worse than shooting someone, so I can't do it.
I mean, it depends what an individual is going through. I wouldn't mind being shot accidentally by Alec Baldwin.
I think you would. If you had to survive. If you died, you'd probably be
yeah.
okay with it.
I would prefer the sweet release.
Tell me about it. Okay, fine. Then we don't see an Alec Baldwin. We just pocket the gun and it never goes off.
I do think it's kind of funny too. I mean, this probably been done. This is probably literally a Simpsons thing where they found a gun that was labeled Chekhov's gun, and the joke was that they never saw it again.
Well, yeah, but The Simpsons has already done everything before everybody. Cast your mind back to the South Park episode of the same thing.
Yeah, of course.
The Simpsons did it. Just because The Simpsons did it doesn't mean we can't do it. We'll just tell it slant. It's not. If you recall, that was the book we were assigned to have in the class we shared.
Oh, you know what? Because you said that, and I was like, that sounds like a thing, but I don't think I've ever actually read that book, though.
Neither did I. I could have saved some money by just not buying some of these things.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so the gun itself isn't labeled. It's either a toy gun or maybe it shouldn't be an old-timey six-shooter, but it's a toy gun.
Or does Chekhov from Star Trek? We walk out of the alley and he comes running out and he's like, "You found my gun!" and he grabs it and leaves with it.
Are you gonna do his accent?
Isn't it just a Slavic accent?
Very. Chekhov is, I believe, very Russian.
Well, then, are we making a joke of it? And he's like a Count Dracula accent. Ah, you found my gun.
I think that's disrespectful to Dracula, to to Romanian people, to Chekhov, to Star Trek fans.
Oh, I know. Maybe instead of it could be a wordplay or whatever, where we come all the way down from our long walk back out of Chekhov's alley with our gun that we found at the other end, and we're holding like a shopping list, kind of like a a bulleted list, and we say, all right, check off gun, and we check it off.
Did you check off gun?
Did you check off gun? Yes.
All right, we got gun. What else is
All right.
left? Oh, could
News.
include a couple of humorous things.
Yeah, our list of, I don't know, weapons or whatever.
I like that best. And then we just tuck it away along with the list and we move on. Because we need to move on because we're going to have to end this.
Oh yeah, I guess so. We tuck it away into the bunny suit because that's where it belongs.
I mean, it is a plot device.
Yeah.
That's exactly where it belongs. Right into the plot device's only pocket.
Okay, so we've done that, and so are we? Do we then ultimately after that need? Because we didn't find the secret down that way. We need some sort of proof from. We need Plato to succeed in convincing us that something bad happened, so that we can go back and unsubmit our sketch.
Yeah. I wonder if this actually didn't just become a two-parter.
Oh, I mean, it could. I'm happy to.
Because I think that instead of disappearing before we go into the alley, I think that Plato should try to direct us away from the alley, but we don't listen, we go into it anyway, and by the time we come back out, he's gone. And now we're lost in a totally unfamiliar city in the future. And that's a
good
cliffhanger ending.
Yeah, that's a
like-
classic.
We come out of the alley, hey, did you check off gun? And then we tuck that away, and then we look around and be like, hey, where's Plato?
And then
Plato? And then there's just the echo, and then the camera zooms out, and it's just we're alone.
And then Lost in the Supermarket by The Clash plays over the credits.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's, rather than try to kind of weave together an ending out of that, because we still have to go back to our time and deal with the sketch that later becomes gospel.
Right.
I mean,
yeah, I like that.
We can assume that is the ending, but we can fill meat in there now that we've got a solid foundation now.
Yeah, and then in the next episode, then that we would pick up and give us more time to explore around this city and like be lost and uncover some secrets and etc. And then come back. Yeah.
And it's while we're lost and wandering that we find the goddamn music player that sings us the song about this particular district.
Oh, okay. I like that. Yeah.
And then I think that one of us has to do let's do that again, and I think one of the one who wants to do it should succeed, and then it should play the whole song all over again. Because
I'm down for that, yeah.
This is really the time waster episode. We had to walk all the way up and down the hallway. Now you have to listen to this dumbass song a second time.
And I mean, that could have a little fourth wall break, something to do with like, hey, we put the time into it, or I paid the publishing rights or whatever.
So yeah, that is a good cliffhanger spot. I didn't expect to get a two-parter out of this.
I had no idea what to expect.
I think that we had a slow start because we took a week off.
Yeah, that doesn't help. But even this morning when I woke up and was like, oh man, we got to do this again, there was a bit of hesitation of like, I don't want to do that. And then by the time the afternoon came around, I was like, oh, I actually like writing stories.
I've been looking forward to it since last Monday. It threw my whole week off. This is my dopamine.
Well, here's your groove, Stella.
And now we've got a two-parter, and we've got a firm launch position to create a real episode out of this next week.
Yeah, definitely. And I actually especially like the idea that coming in with the premise that we weren't going to do an adventure, we've doubled down and it's a double episode adventure.
Yeah, well, once we actually got the wheels turning, it's hard not to create a narrative.
It is kind of funny that our 3-part conclusion, technically 4-part conclusion to the last episode or last season, then segues into a multiple part intro to the new one.
I promise we're going to try to keep it a two-parter. A season premiere that's a two-parter is perfectly fine, as is a season finale that's a two-parter. A 3 and a 4-parter starts becoming egregious.
Yeah, I agree. All right. I guess we should do a little outro before I was going to disinvite our friends here.
Do you want to shake up the outro at all?
I mean, it would be nice if we could get it right on the first try.
Well, everybody, I'm Tucker.
I'm Todd.
This has been a cast.
And you've been an audience. Have a good night.
Have a good night, everybody.
And you too, Craig.
Yeah, Craig.
Thanks for noticing me.
fuck Tucker. Tucker sucks. And fuck Tucker's friend, Todd.